Hi, I'm John. I'm Otis from Death Row Diner. Want everyone to subscribe to Buddy Katera.
Candela.
Oh, Candela too. That's just Buddy. Buddy. Buddy is he's a great guy. I highly recommend him.
Cool. So, how's it going, everyone? I am sitting here with Otis Wilcox from Death Row Diner. If you guys have been subscribed to the channel for a while, you guys know that Death Row Diner was the first video that we did in our Lost on VHS series. If you haven't seen it, it is on my channel. Go check it out. But I'm sitting here with the actor who portrayed Otis Wilcox, John Constant. How are you doing today?
Very good, thank you.
Cool. So I guess let's just go ahead and get started. How did you first hear about Death Row Diner, and how did this project come together? Because I remember you actually came across our video for it and said, if you want to know how and why this film was made, let me know. So I'm asking, how and why was this film made?
Okay, well, first off, my friend who was one of the stars in it, when I knew him was Jay Richardson, but now he goes by John Henry Richardson. And he said, "Hey, we need a monster for this film." And I said, "Sure, it sounds great to me." So that went back to about 1988 is when this was shot. But give you just a little more background first on Camp Video. It was first started as sort of LA Video back in 1984. They did nothing but porn.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah. And then in 1986 or 87, they created Camp Video. And it was so all with the premise they wanted to do schlock movies, direct to the video stores. It was never any more than that. And they produced things like Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, which is probably their most famous one, if there is one. And then another one they did called Zombie Death House, which I bring up only because they were shooting that with 35 millimeter film during the day at the deserted jail here in Los Angeles. And what happened is that they realized they had all this extra time at night that they could be using the location for. So what they decided to do was just write a very quick script. And I don't think it was much more than 10 pages. And the rest of it was sort of just improv together.
Yeah.
So we started. By the way, the Zombie Death Row House was directed by John Saxon, which I thought was kind of funny. And
Yeah.
they actually had their 35 millimeter camera gears and everything. But again, it was going to be a lot cheaper for them to shoot direct to video.
So you guys just used them as props.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So it was basically a movie about a making movie of a movie. And Otis was sent to the chair for killing his wife, and he was innocent, but he didn't get his last meal. So then they take me, Otis, to the chair, and I'm complaining that I didn't get my last meal. So that's how this thing starts.
Yes.
And then it sort of escalates into so many different bizarre things and inside jokes. There was so many of them, and the crew was basically, or the actors in it was basically the crew. You had the producer, was it Vitch? Sal, and I don't know his last name, but he was connected to the Gotti family.
Yeah.
And they like to do things like during takes was to shoot TV sets, and I mean he shows this in the in the movie where he shoots the TV monitor out, and he really shot it.
Oh, really?
It was in his office, or they made some bombs and they set them off in the alley, just for no reason at all, just because they're like kids playing.
Yeah.
So, but we had a lot of fun. Sort of an inside thing about me and my character is that I work during the day, a daytime job. So, and this was shot at night. So I was working a normal job and then went directly from there to the set. And I would stay there until sunrise, which we had to be out of there so
Yeah.
the other film could be made. So I went home just in time to shower, get all the makeup off, and get right back to work. I didn't sleep for about 3 days, 4 days. The only sleep I got is when they're putting the makeup on me. I slept, the first makeup took them 8 hours
Oh, really?
because they didn't know how to do it. They were using cotton balls,
Yeah.
and they had no idea what they were doing at all. And then they wanted to make a cast of my face, and it scared me because I'm thinking these guys don't know what they're doing, and I'm afraid I'm going to smother to death. So I said, no, you can only do half my face.
Yeah.
So that's why half my face is melted.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, that's in fact the scene when they're taking me to the chair, and the director is telling me, okay, this is what I want you to do. I'm falling asleep. He had to pick me up a couple of times. That's how tired I was by the time we finally got to the death scene.
So it only took 3 or 4 days to shoot, or that's just the days that you were there, or was the whole thing done in that time?
No, the whole thing, it was either 5 or 6 days for the entire thing. The jail scenes, I don't think was any more than 3 or 4 at the most, and everything else was at the Camp Video studio.
Okay.
Or not studio, I mean their offices.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the offices are in the movie. It's the actual Camp Video offices.
Yeah.
So, cool. How did they find you? Like, how did you get involved in this? Like, did you know someone on the crew, or was there like an audition process, or they were just like, hey, we want you, or like, how did all that come about?
Well, my friend John Henry Richardson, who is one of the stars who plays the director in the film, we've known each other since about 70, 71.
Okay.
And we've been having plays together in a couple other little small-time productions. And he said, hey, you want to be a monster? And I said, sure, that sounds like a lot of fun. Little did I know that it was so low budget. I mean, low budget means, and I forgot the exact pay, it was probably somewhere around $50 a day. I mean, it was not a union job.
Yeah.
And so that's how I got in there. And Jay wrote, or I call him Jay, it's really John. He wrote, or was part of the people that wrote the script. And then we just added things to it. You know, the closing scenes, I'm in a sweatsuit, and I'm in my office. I took over the studio, and I'm talking about Merv Griffin and his O. Henry candy bars. Just sort of an inside joke.
Yeah.
So just little things that were thrown in, and ridiculous things. I mean, no one can ever take this film seriously, but yet I've seen reviews where they actually thought it was a real film. I mean, they're taken seriously, and it really wasn't.
Right. So, speaking of the scene where you're taking over the studio, was it written down to take the shots at Spielberg and Coppola, or was that improv by yourself?
That was all improv.
That was all improv?
Yeah, like the one thing where I'm supposed to show the video of John being electrocuted in the chair, it was already in there and preloaded, and I pressed the button, so I take it out because it ejected it, so I had to put it back in. But that threw me a little bit, but it just went on with it. You know, we didn't cut for anything. You know.
Yeah. So as you said, it was pretty like run and gun and all that. How long did it, like, was there any sort of pre-production process, or did they just tell you, hey, we need a monster, and then you guys started shooting in a couple days? Or, like, how long did you have to prepare to do this?
The day that they told me about it, it was probably the next day. I believe I went right to the office, and it wasn't an audition process. It was just them getting ready for what they were going to do for me in terms of costumes and whatever. And then the next day we started shooting. It's that quick.
Really? So you were thrown into it pretty quickly. Had you acted before that? I mean, you obviously probably did some acting, but was that your first, like, I know that's the first film you're like credited for, but was that the first film you did?
No, I did some other films. They're not all on IMDb is not up to date, but
yeah.
But again, I'm not famous. I did more commercials and more voiceover work, those type of things that actors do also. So I do improv comedy. I've been doing that for many years.
Cool. When did you first get into acting? Has it been something you've done since childhood, or?
No, actually, when I got out of the service, I took a job at a publishing place, and that's where I met John, and he sort of got me into it. And we did a play out here called The Remarkable Mr. Pennypacker. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just thrown into it, and at the same time, I was taking acting lessons and going to college to pick up more credits on acting and public speaking and voice work.
Cool. So before Death Row Diner, how long had you been like in the business?
Well, let's see. I started doing stuff at about 80. Well, no, actually about 74. I think I started doing acting, and it was. I don't know what I did, how many things I did on film before then, but it was basically. I started in the mid 70s, and I joined the union back in I think 82 or 85, somewhere around there.
Cool. Did you do background work or anything like that, or was it all like, did you have parts and everything, or did you start out kind of as like an extra and worked your way up?
No, I never liked the way the extras or background people were treated.
Yeah.
I did one once for a movie called Rented Lips, and which they cut my scene out. But
Oh, really?
I had enough time on the screen there, but that actually made the theatrical release. But most of the people in it died, which is kind of ironic,
Oh.
Dick Shawn's last movie. I'm trying to remember everyone else who was in it. But anyway, it was a fun film. I was only on it for about 2-3 days. That was about it.
Cool. So Death Row Diner is really the first thing that you were kind of like known for, at least in like our community, like the people who dig up like these obscure like 80s movies. Like Death Row Diner was kind of the big one, right?
Yeah, I mean, I did a series called Super Carrier where I played the bartender,
Okay.
and so I was on it. They only had it for 7 episodes, and it was canceled. So I was only on about 4 episodes, but still, I was I was on that. It was my first TV series, I believe. And then I did lots of other things, from student films to, like I said, I did a lot of commercials. I had friends. Since I was also in the ad community, so I had a lot of friends that did a lot of the ads. So they said, "Hey, you want to be in this commercial or that commercial?" And I said, "Sure." So I've done quite a few commercials.
Anything people listening to this might have seen, or is it all kind of like lost in time?
Well, the local ones, since you're not here in California, you probably wouldn't have seen that many.
Yeah.
But I did one for Angels Hardware that we played a lot, and then one for air conditioning company. I think it was, oh, geez, I can't remember the name of it. Where I played what do you call those? One of those fathers with the bald head and the robes.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, I was on that for a while. I had was the lead in the commercial, and that played nonstop for about 2-3 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that. But again, I don't know if it went nationwide. I don't believe it did. It was a buyout, which is sort of a non-union type of deal. I'm not proud of doing non-union work, but that's what you have to do sometimes.
Did people ever like recognize you? Like, oh, you're the guy from the commercial and the big robe and all that. Did anyone ever like on the street like recognize you or anything?
What is so funny is that one of the not that I'm a heavy drinker, but the liquor store I would go into all the time. The owner's kid said, "Hey, I saw you in Death Row Diner."
Oh, really?
And I thought, who saw that? No one saw that. I was so surprised. It was re-released, by the way. Just so you know, it was back in the 90s. It was re-released. So I don't know what copy you saw.
I'm not sure. My co-host Jared, who actually is the one that owns the tape, because I know the '90s re-release kind of just has a like blank sticker on it that just says Death Row Diner. But I know like the original release kind of has like the silver like
Right.
logo and all that. So I can't recall which one he actually has. But yeah,
Yeah, so that's the main difference. Plus, they put female arm wrestling in the beginning. It was shows 90 minutes, so to fill out those 90 minutes, because the film was only an hour and 6 minutes, I believe. So to fill it out, they put that in the front, and they put trailers in the back.
was
The
that on?
outtakes was probably the best thing, the best thing in the movie.
Was the arm wrestling in the trailers on both releases or just the second one? Because the tape we watched had all that on that, so we might have had the second release.
Yeah, you had the second release. The first one didn't have that. It went right into the movie.
Cool. So I guess while we're on the subject of the tape releases, I know that Death Row Diner is one of, or it might be the only one that Camp Video put out that wasn't in like the nice cases. It was kind of just in the slip case. Was that just because they didn't think people would like it that much, or just because the whole crew wasn't really taken that seriously? Like, was there any reason for that, or?
Just cost. They wanted to make it as cheap as possible. You know, the location they had it paid through the other movie they were filming. So it just came down to how cheap can we make a movie. That's what it came down to.
Do you have any idea how much the budget for it was?
I don't know, but if it was over $10,000, I'd be surprised.
Yeah. Because as you said, you're reusing sets. You're shooting it as quickly as possible. You're shooting it on video, which obviously is a lot cheaper than shooting it on the film cameras, which were available but not used for the film.
Yeah, I mean, 35 millimeter film cost a lot of money.
Yeah. So, I guess before this process, I know that you were friends with the lead actor that was going to be in this, but were you kind of aware of Camp Video before that point? Or
no, I never heard of him. My friend John, he did a lot of type B type of movies, and you know it's not a put down, because this guy's made a living with this business for many years, where most actors, you know, they do one or two things in their life and they just don't get any other work, or they're doing plays and they're not getting paid for it, and that's typically what happens in Hollywood. But John has made a complete career out of this, now even teaching at the New York Film School here at Universal City here in Los Angeles. And then he's done a tremendous amount of work. To me, that's a success in this business. If you can work nonstop, you're a success.
Are you guys still in touch to this day?
Oh yeah. That's we either text or we talk on the phone or whatever. He's busy, like he's just shooting a film now in Las Vegas. It's a Chinese film. I don't know the name of it, but that's the kind of things that projects he gets involved with, and it's amazing. But he works.
Yeah. Has he ever hit you up for anything else after that? Like, hey, we need someone for this movie, or was it just kind of the first one?
No, I've done 2 or 3 others. One of the things in the credit was the Dillinger movie.
Yeah, Dillinger in Paradise.
Yeah, he wrote and produced and directed that.
Oh, okay.
And I just had a small little part in that. And let's see, I think there was another one that I did with him. But it's, he is looking for projects all the time, either by himself, putting them together, or whatever. We did have I don't know what it was. I hate to call it it's like a review of some of the Camp Videos things, and Michelle Bauer was there. So
Okay.
I went up and talked to her. She didn't remember me.
All right.
So I asked her if she remembered me, and she said no. I said, I'm Otis Wilcox. And she said, oh, Otis. Oh, yeah, I remember. You remember me.
Yeah.
But I got to carry her. She was half nude, and I got to carry her in the movie.
Yeah. So as you said, it was pretty run and gun, 10-page script. Do you remember what the script actually because I'm assuming like the big stuff was written down, like Otis rips off head and stuff like that, but the majority, like, was it all action in the script, or was there some dialogue? Like, how detailed was the script for this?
I didn't see the entire script. I mean, in other words, it might have been 20 pages, but the pages I saw were some of the dialogue that, say, Jay had with his wife, or the other character. There was another character who was like a father figure. I forgot his name. He was an old character actor, and they had some speeches together, and those were written down, and they probably did those pretty much to the script. But everything else, and as far as I was concerned, I had maybe I didn't get to talk until when the film was almost over.
Yeah.
And every time I did talk, it was me just ad-libbing.
Yeah. Was it shot in order?
No, not really. I mean, it was close to it. I mean, because it makes editing easier if it is, but some of the things were shot out of order. I remember the first time they put my makeup on, and after 8 hours, and they didn't need me after
really?
all that time. So they said, well, let's just show them walking. So they showed me walking, real slow.
Yeah.
And then they decided, hey, let's put some toilet paper on his shoe.
Yes, the infamous death by shit scene.
Yes. And how the Elvis thing came about, I have no idea. It's probably a guy in the crew that could do a imitation of him, and that's probably how it came about. But there were crazy stuff, like me hitting a guy in the back of the head and his eyeballs pop out. And so I pick it up, and I decided to eat it. It was a hard-boiled egg.
Okay.
But then as I have it in my mouth and it starts to crumble, I thought, I don't know what the hell I'm eating here.
Yeah.
They had other things that make it look like gel or something, so I decided to spit it off
Yeah.
on camera.
Yeah. So typically, would it be, like, would you get multiple takes, or was it just one shot, it is what it is?
Pretty much. If we had a multiple shot, it was due to a camera problem.
Okay.
It's not so much with the actors. I'm sure I had I flubbed up once or twice on a line, and I think they had to reshoot that. But I mean, very, very rarely. It's pretty much run and gun, like you said. It was just they had to get this stuff in the can, and they had to forge ahead so they can get this thing finished very quick.
Yeah. Was that kind of stressful, knowing that you kind of had to get it right the first time?
No, because I was so tired from lack of sleep. The only thing I could think about is just sitting down and then just sleeping in a chair. There was no place to lay down.
Yeah.
Or I could go in the cells, but again, the cells didn't have any beds in them. So, but sometimes if you just wanted some downtime, you could go in a cell and just sort of relax. Which was kind of eerie, by the way, just because it was a real jail,
I would imagine. Did anything? Was it like you didn't hear ghosts or anything? Did you?
No.
No.
No. I mean, if there was, it was probably from actors.
Yeah.
But no, not that I know.
Well, I'm assuming it was a pretty fun. Like when you watch the film, you can tell that everyone's kind of having fun. Was that kind of the vibe of it, or was it kind of more?
No, it was nonstop fun. I mean, I had scenes in it that didn't make it. Like the makeup artist, remember where I grab her by the throat and she starts bleeding?
Yes.
and they said, maybe you should have a razor blade in your hand. I said, no, just the squeezing part of it. So then I take her over my shoulder and I take her into the room where I hang everyone up on a meat hook.
Yeah.
So I started singing Swing Low as I'm going toward the office, which cracked everyone up, but they never used it in the movie.
Yeah, because I think I haven't watched our review of it in a couple years, but I think we mentioned at one point, some girl gets choked so hard that she starts to bleed.
Yes. And it's just, I forgot, I think she was a real, she was a real makeup artist. So, I mean, it's as regular actors there, I mean, there was probably no more than about 4 or 5.
Yeah, because the main girl was also in Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, right? She was the main girl in that as well.
She's done a lot of the Scream type of movies. She's been a lot of type B movies.
Yeah. Because you guys mentioned Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers a lot in the film.
Yes.
Was that more for the in joke of it, or was that more for the, hey, if you haven't seen the movie we're known for, go see it, or was it all just not taken seriously?
No, no, it was actually both. I mean, to get some people to buy the movie, and it was fun to talk about it as a joke. I'm trying to remember what else do we have in there? I can't remember. There was something else that was interesting about the chainsaw hookers. Maybe I'll think of it later. But it was funny. They didn't talk about the zombie death house at all because it was just being made. So I don't know whatever happened to that. I don't know if you ever saw that in your travels or not. But that's
No, I've not seen Zombie Death House. But I've heard a lot about Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. I haven't seen it personally, but my co-host, who I do the VHS show with, he's seen it before, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, other videos that they did was Video Violence, Gourmet Zombie Chef from Hell, The Psychic, Las Vegas Serial Killer, The Incredible Strange Creatures, The Thrill Killers. Those are some of the things they're known for.
Yeah. Do you have any just interesting backstage stories that you remember?
I know we played a lot of pranks during it, but again, I was so tired. Is that my jokester side was just sleeping every time.
Yeah.
But no, we had a lot of just a lot of fun making it. And like I said, it was like Sal, the producer, said, "Hey, I'm gonna blow something up in the alley here. So come and look at this." That type of stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing that was earth shattering, but just crazy stuff that you would not see on a regular movie set.
Right. How did, I don't know if this was in the script or not, but the movie, for those of you who have seen it, and if you haven't, it's kind of strung together by this sort of noir narrator. Was that in the script, or was that something in post? They were like, oh, we gotta throw a narrator into this, or...
No, that was actually part of the script.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the guy who read that, I believe, was the guy that was playing me being electrocuted.
Yeah.
If you remember, the older guy that was in the chair, and I come along, and they leave him there they take off for lunch. They leave him there, and then I come in and plug in the electric chair, and he gets burnt. I don't know if you remember him, but he was the narrator in it.
Oh, okay, cool. So I guess so makeup took 8 hours
the first time, and then they were able to get it down to 6 hours, and then 5. And they pretty much used this lame stuff. Like I said, it was made out of cotton balls. I mean, you just don't make stuff out of cotton balls. But it finally got nice and hard, and it was like a shell. But if you see, on the bottom of my chin here, they had the makeup that was flapping. And I said, no, it's don't worry about fixing it because it'll look like my skin is falling off. Yeah. So it's that they just kept it the way it was.
Right. So I guess day to day, since there was very minimal script writing, did you kind of know what you were going to get into that night, or was every day just a new surprise?
No, they pretty much said we were going to do this scene or that scene, and they would give general parameters, and then if there's something we can add to it or whatever, we would do that. Like at the office. Where I was in my sweats, and my granddaughter was there, and then Mr. Chang, or I forgot his name, came in, and we did this thing of, I had a watch that someone gave me that was probably a $2 watch, but it was phony diamonds and everything, and I gave it to him because the watch was a thread that was in the movie. I don't know if you remember that or not, but so I gave him a watch, and he was winking his eye, and we did that old joke, are you have cataracts? And he said, no, I drive Rinkin.
Yeah.
It's very racist, But that guy was really a funny guy, a great actor.
Yeah. Did you end up getting close with any of the other actors on set?
Uh, Not really. I mean,
Not really.
I mean, we would when you're with someone for 5 days straight, you talk and you have a good time. But after it's over with, you pretty much fall apart. Like I didn't stay in contact with Michelle because we didn't
Yeah.
have that many scenes until the end. Where I offer her some chicken wings or something like that.
Yeah. Well, it was like body parts like from the crew like on a plate when she's like bound and gagged or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that transition was supposed to be a realization that I realized all of a sudden it's her, but didn't really come across that way. But it almost didn't matter because the movie was so schlocky anyway. We just went with what we had.
Yeah.
So it's
As far
go
as
ahead.
like the story like elements of it, was any of that your idea, or did you just kind of come up with your own dialogue? But you didn't come up with like any of the ideas for how to like kill people or the shitting thing or any of that.
Well, only with the makeup artist. I said, I said we'll do it with I'll just choke her to death, and we'll have somebody raise her up, so it looks like that. I'm lifting her up by her neck. That part, I guess I suggested, and like I said, they said, well, we should do a razor blade. And the first thing I thought about is that I don't want to end up cutting this
Yes.
this lady here. So no, we don't want it. We don't want any sharp objects.
Cool.
But no, that was about it.
I guess did you have anything other interesting happen when you were shooting this?
Oh God, it was so many years ago. I can't remember everything that happened. Like I said, I was asleep most of the time. But no, I mean, John and I would do jokes on each other all the time.
Yeah.
When we worked in an ad agency, I was on the phone and I was in charge of production. So he would say, "You want some coffee?" Because the coffee machine was right out there. And I said, "Oh yeah, thanks." And so he brings it to me, and he packed it full of salt. That's the kind of sense of humor that he has. He's one time I was I forgot. Oh yeah, he was living in Manhattan Beach, and he became my roommate when his wife threw him out for a period of time. And the roommate thing stuff is really funny because one time I brought home a date, and she was on crutches. She had broken her leg, I guess, in a skiing accident. So we had to go upstairs to get to the living room from the front door. And so you see her clothes that are all the way up, following into the bedroom door, and then there's crutches. So he got quite a kick out of that. I guess visually I wasn't thinking about setting it up that way, but it turned out to be a very funny effect. It has nothing to do with the movie. It's just our relationship,
Yeah. I guess okay. So you shot Death Row Diner. It was 5 days, 4 or 5 days shooting. Did you like what was the shooting like? Because it was obviously shot at nighttime. So was it kind of like you start as soon as the sun goes down and shoot until the sun goes up, or was there like a normal 12-hour schedule, or what was it kind of like?
No, it was strictly as soon as the other movie crew left, we could go in.
Okay.
And I don't know if they made it a secret or not, because I'm sure that they probably didn't want us messing around with their equipment or whatever. But that's what we did. We went in about 6 o'clock, and then we stayed until daylight, until maybe about 5 o'clock in the morning. And then, like I said, I went home from there and took a quick shower and then went off to work.
Where were you working at the time?
I was working at a printing plant out down by the 15 and the 174 freeway, or forgot the freeway number. No, whatever it was. It was it was about 60 miles away from where I live.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I had a long trip, and this was a long trip to get to the studios or the jail, which was basically downtown LA.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that it's still there. They still use it for movie sets.
Yeah. Have you always lived in LA?
Yeah, I'm born in Hollywood, native. Moved to the San Fernando Valley. I don't know if people know it or not, but moved there when I was about 4 and been here ever since.
Cool. So you weren't one of the people that kind of moves there to kind of make it big. You've always been a local.
Yeah, no, to me, it's just fun to do. I'm a creative person. I still do photography. I do headshots for actors. I still enjoy anything that's creative. So with Russ, I do improv still every Wednesday night, and we put together a group for professionals, and we just have fun.
Yeah, I actually because originally we were going to do this back in January, but I figured since the Halloween season we're talking about a horror movie, it'd be more appropriate to do it now. But I remember looking up kind of some of the stuff that you'd been involved in, and I came across the New Blue Roses, part 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So is that kind of your comedy troupe, or was that just kind of like a one special thing?
That was a special thing put together by an actress that I knew that she had students for somebody, and she wanted to have a couple people that were experienced in improv to work with them. So that's what we did. But no, it's I've been in maybe about 3 or 4 improv groups. The performing part of it is difficult because people just don't stay with the group for that long. The average is probably a few months to no more than a year and a half. There is one group out here that's called Off the Wall that's been doing it for over 35 years, I think. The same people.
Really?
So it's very unusual to see that type of devotion, to your group.
Yeah.
So like I said, this is just it's like a workshop or an actor's gymnasium, and we just get together and have fun on Wednesday nights for 3 hours, and it's just good for laughs. We have writers in it, a lot of people that are fairly famous they're in this group.
Yeah, and how many years have you been with this group?
Well, I have put it together with Andy Goldberg, which is part of Off the Wall. I was with another group called the New Barbarians, and it was based on the same premise where we had nothing but pros coming in and just working out one night a week. And when that sort of fell apart after so many years, we needed someone who's professional to sort of keep it running. And we'll play games, or we'll play some exercises just to warm up, and then we'll just do scenes or whatever. And that's how this whole thing came about. But we've been doing it for at least 8 years, maybe
really?
Longer. Yeah.
What kind of crowds do you guys typically draw for these?
It's not really open to the public, though.
Oh, really?
Friends. Yeah, if you say you're going to be in town, I would invite you in and say, hey, come and watch. We get people to come and watch all the time, but nobody off the street. It's just either friends of friends, and we'll bring them in.
Okay, so it's just kind of for the love of doing it. It's not really the, like you don't really have like crowds come see it. It's more just
no. It's most of us have done the performance, and we're tired of it. It's just for us and just to have fun and just to work out and keep your comedy muscle strong.
Yeah. I guess the most famous sort of improv thing there is like Whose Line Is It Anyway? Do you guys kind of play games with yours, or like how does your improving what is your guys' process when you do it?
Well, we may start off with a warm up. And a warm up can be anywhere from a freeze tag, which is where you have start off with 2 people and they start to do a scene. Maybe you give them a subject, and then someone yells freeze, and they got to hold that exact position. That person will tap out one of those people, get into the same position, and then continue the scene as a new scene, justifying your position. So that's one of the warm up things that we do. We'll do other things where we just get in a circle, and then we'll will say, "What are you doing?" And then the person will say, I'm knitting a handbag." And then turn to the next person and say, "What are you doing?" And then you start doing knitting a handbag, and the other person will say, "What are you doing?" I'm polishing my bowling ball. So something that
Yeah.
is a non sequitur. It's just a way to warm up and get your brain thinking. So we're doing that. Like I said, we've had people in there that are real working actors and real famous writers. That have written TV shows and movies and whatever else. So it's a good group of people. And it's different all the time. You get new people all the time.
Yeah. Cool. So I guess let's talk about, since we're kind of on the subject of other things you've done besides Death Row Diner. And I really only have your IMDb to go off of because a lot of this isn't online, I guess. But so you did Dillinger in Paradise back in '99, or around that time period. What kind of was that like?
Well, that's where John was got the money to put together sort of like a treatment in a way. He didn't complete the entire thing, but he had enough where he entered it into film festivals and whatever. I just played a small part where it was a story about Dillinger, who decided to make a movie about a bank robbery that was really a bank robbery. Sort of sounds like the...
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying he took that idea, but I'm just, it's very funny. So I played the guy that handled the guns, gave the guns out and took them back after the scene was shot and that kind of thing. So it was, and they had a couple, Salma Hayek or somebody was famous in the movie before they were famous, in other words.
Right.
And I think she was in it, if I recall right. I'm trying to remember who else. It's because I was only on for, I think, 1 or 2 days at the most.
Yeah.
Cool. So it was fun, and it was done very professionally, and they shot with 35 millimeter film, so it was like a real movie,
Yeah, kind of like a real movie.
Yeah.
So it also says you were involved with Whispers from a Shallow Grave, and you're credited as like grave robber. And I couldn't really find any information about this movie. So what can you tell me about that one?
Well, I know that I did it a long time ago. It was Whispers from a Grave, and I was a dumpster diver, I think is what it was. And I had just a few scenes in it, but I discovered something in the dumpster that was important for this murder case. And the guy shot it, I forgot how many years, and he finally released it. And it was on a theatrical release. Didn't go very far. I never saw it. I couldn't make the screening that they're going to have on it, but they showed it at an art theater here in Santa Monica. And so I don't know much more than that, or where it went, or whatever else.
Yeah.
But I hope I could see it sometime. But I didn't have that many lines. It was a good part. We had to shoot it twice because he lost the film.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I forgot how he shot it. If it was on video or it was on film. I think it was 16 millimeter film. It might have been. But anyway, he lost it, and he wanted me to shoot it again for free. So I said, you're only paying me $100 for the entire day. I said, no, you'll have to pay me again.
Yeah.
This is the kind of people you see. And I got jobs from my improv shows that I've done. I did a show in Hollywood. I forgot the name of the group, but it was at the famous Carlos and Charlie's, and we did it Thursday nights for about a year and a half.
Cool.
And I said a lot of people have seen us all, but we all got work from doing improv.
Yeah, cool. And it says that the latest thing that you're credited with on IMDb is the Doll web series, and I remember looking into that, but I didn't know if I found the Doll, because it's kind of a generic name. So I didn't know if I found the right series. So what can you tell me about the Doll?
Well, it's another one of these things from there were two, I call them kids, younger than I was,
Yeah.
that decided to do a web series that was dealing with doll collectors, which is a real thing. I mean, there are people that do collect dolls.
Oh, my grandma has, I want to say close to 1,000. That's probably an exaggeration, but she has tons of really expensive, like creepy dolls. It's kind of like scary to go over there sometimes because they
Yeah,
take up the whole house, and she's in a club about it too, like a
yeah.
doll collecting group or whatever.
Well, that's pretty much what this is about, except there's two separate groups, and it's them going at each other basically all the time. So what I was is that the gal who's in charge of the one group, I'm her what do you call it, benefactor, boyfriend, who she only wants, for my money.
Yeah.
And so it's just sort of a comic part, and I think I was in about I don't know, 3 or 4 of their episodes. Can't remember if there was 9 total or not, but it was a fun part. It was fun to do. They let me just go wild, anything I wanted to do.
Yeah.
There was a script, but
Yeah.
again, if I thought of something, since we're all improv people, anything that we could add to it, if they liked it, they would say, "Yeah, put that in."
Yeah. So, do you know where people can find it online?
It is on the internet. I think it's called the Doll Web Series. I think that's what it's called. But
Yeah.
you you can look up my name and maybe find it that way
Yeah.
on YouTube.
Okay.
But otherwise, look up the Doll Web Series and you can see it there too.
Cool. And Death Row Diner is actually on YouTube a couple times. People have uploaded the full movie. Do the creators of the movie like care? Because I've never really asked about that. Because we had someone on the show a year ago who directed a shot-on-video movie, and it's been put on the internet. And he said, just hey, the more people who can see it, I mean, more power to them. But like, do people kind of get mad when you take their work and upload it?
Well, normally I would say yes, but with this particular film here,
Yeah.
first off, I think they're all out of business. Cam Video only lasted about 3 years, and then a company called K&B Following or something like that bought it, and they re-released it in 1990. But then after that, I think they just went out of business also. So no one really cares. It's one of those films that are. I mean, you'd be surprised in Hollywood how many films are like brand new and never released.
Yeah.
Be very surprised. I had no idea until I went to a screening of one where the people would buy it and they send it overseas. And these are
Okay.
the kind of movies that they send overseas. If you've ever been to, say, like Taiwan and you want to see something late at night, these are the kind of movies that pop up. They're terrible, but
Mhm.
they basically get them for like near to nothing. And I looked at this one film, and every one of the actors in it were dead. That's how old
really?
it was. Never released. And I saw 3 reels, and I'll guarantee you, I don't know what the story was about. I have no idea. It was that bad. And I mentioned to the guy that was put together the screening. I said, "Why don't we recut this and put in the Mistress of the Darkness? What's her name?
Elvira?
Yeah, Elvira in this. I mean, so many years ago it was." And she said, "Well, we don't need the money. We can get this thing either for a couple $1,000s or $5,000 for the most." And this movie was shot. I mean, it had to cost several $1,000,000 at least.
Yeah.
And it just sits there, and no one is touching them. And there are many films that are like that. They're in vaults and have never been released.
Yeah.
It's shocking to me,
Yeah. So when Death Row Diner was released, did you guys have like a premiere for it, or did it just kind of go on video and then that was it?
It gave me a copy of the thing in its box. That was it.
Yeah.
That was the release.
So no red carpet, nothing like
No.
that.
No, at least at the Doll series, we had a screening and we had red carpet and the whole bit. But it was at a pizza place,
Oh, really?
But it's, yeah.
Cool. What kind of has been the reception of Death Row Diner?
Well, it's funny. Some people who don't get it say it's the worst thing. And when I show it at my place here, and of course I make everyone who comes here to see this movie, I only cut to my scenes,
Yeah.
so it's more entertaining. But it's a lot of people just find, well, this is way too boring, or this is
Yeah.
a terrible movie. How can you watch this? But they don't realize that what it's about. It's just about schlock.
Yeah.
It's a genre, really. There's a
Yeah.
shock genre, and that's what this is. There's many
Yeah.
movies out there like that, especially some of the things that you've reviewed.
Yeah.
And I by the way, I really enjoyed your comments, especially about the I think it was your partner talking about the man boobs.
Oh, so. Yeah.
Right away, that caught me. That these guys are funny. So.
Yeah. How did you kind of like? Do you like go on YouTube and just kind of look up stuff about it, or how did you come across some of the reviews about it?
Yeah, somebody was asking about it or wanted to see it. I think one of my extended family that lives in Brazil. So I was looking up to where they can go to see it, and that's when I found your stuff. There was a few more. There's been kind of 3 or 4 reviews that are out there for sure, and then different cuts, and the entire movie was out there, which I was surprised to see.
Yeah.
But like yourself, I thought, well, that's kind of weird, but they didn't care because I don't think anyone even owns it anymore.
Yeah, I've noticed that like a couple times when we're like doing our like research for these reviews, we'll like check and see if there's any like copies of it on eBay. And I think we saw a copy that year when we were looking for it that was going for like $200 on VHS. So it's kind of like it's kind of a coveted prize for the collectors out there.
Well, I'm glad that it is a prize, but like I said, I doubt if there's many more copies out there. I know that John has his copy somewhere, and I keep mine proudly on my bookshelf. So and when he comes over, I can show them I'm on the front cover.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't get star status, at least I'm on the front cover.
Yeah. I guess because obviously you guys were just having fun with it. Like, have you ever come across a review? Because when we talked to the director of a movie called Blood Lake, which was also a shot on video, just kind of released and forgot about. And he has fun when people online like kind of like talk smack about it. Like, have you ever like do you find it like entertaining when people are like saying how bad it? Because I think we mentioned in our review that it's bad, but it's fun. And like we've seen a lot of, at least me and my co-host, we've seen a lot of shot on video stuff that is just completely unwatchable. And as far as shot on video goes, Death Row Diner actually isn't that bad. It's kind of one of the better ones that we've seen. So, I don't know.
Yeah. No, it doesn't bother me. I mean, it's just, it is what it is, So I enjoyed making it, and I enjoy reading the reviews, especially the bad ones.
Has anyone else ever tried to talk to you about it, or?
No, it's just after I saw your review, I decided to get a hold of you and at least let you know some of the stuff. I mean, some of the stuff is probably known anyway, but just some of the stuff that goes on, making a movie like this, most people don't know. They think Hollywood is all glitz and glamour, and it really isn't.
Yeah.
You go down to Hollywood and Highland here, and you see all these tourists, and I'm thinking, why are you here? Just to look at names on the sidewalk or look at footprints at the Chinese theater or something. It's strange, but people like doing it.
Yeah. So no one's hitting you up for any conventions anytime soon or anything?
No, I got friends that go to these autograph signing shows all the time. No, I've never been asked to do this, but I would probably go just because you see some of your old time buddies or friends. I have a lot of actors I've known, or old time actors I've known for a long time, and I went to one show, and I couldn't believe the people. Ed Asner was there, signing autographs. I mean, it just. People have figured, well, why would they ever do that? Soupy Sales, when he was alive, he was there. I'm trying to remember who else. It was Eddie Kooky Burns from 77 Sunset Strip. I don't know if you're old enough to even remember that TV series. I have to explain a lot of it to people in class because they don't remember some of these old TV shows,
Yeah.
which is kind of funny. But yeah, no, there's a lot of people that do the shows. You make a lot of money under the table, you know.
Yeah. Um, yeah, because when we were talking from the director from that other film last year, he said that they made the movie and then he didn't think about it for almost 30 years, and then all of a sudden people were like hitting him up for interviews and all that. And he's just like, why do you guys, like, how'd you even find out about this movie? Because he had like forgotten about it.
Yeah, no, that's happened to me too before, where I've done things for the Playboy channel. Not anything that's blue, but just
Yeah.
I would did straight things, and I get calls. One time at sort of the middle of the night, and the guy's saying he gave my line. I think it's like second down and 10 or something like that, and it's where I kidnap a woman, and that's the line I used in the movie. What it had to do with it, I don't know, but I get calls like that all the time, and then I started doing it with my friends,
Yeah.
and I guess it's as a joke. I figured, I had a buddy of mine. It was the doctor in E.T. in Milk Coke,
Okay.
and he had his line was he goes, "How long has it been?" Like 13 hours. All right, put him on ice. And so I would recite the line for him, and I guess in a way it sort of made him kind of not mad, but just it was irritating that he didn't have more to say.
Yeah.
And since then, he's been in movies where he's got huge speeches and has done a lot more. But again, that's a really famous movie for someone to be in, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. What are some of your favorite horror movies? Or were you into horror at the time when you got cast in this, or was it a whole new world for you?
No, for some reason, people like me as a bartender. I played more
Okay.
bartenders. Even as a model, I was a model and I was playing bartenders.
Oh.
Yeah, there is a place for big people, or I like to say fat people, and I was a model for that. Believe it or not. In fact, when they used a company called Eagleson's, which is now the Big and Tall store,
Mm-hmm.
and I forgot there was a famous football player that was sort of like the name for it. And after they couldn't afford him anymore, so they said, well, let's pick somebody else. And so I was the one that he never heard me say anything. I was just basically modeling the whole time. But I got all these clothes. I did it for the clothes, you know.
Yeah.
So it's I forgot why I went off in that direction there. But what were you asking me?
Oh, I was just asking what some of your favorite horror movies were.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh God, I see so many movies. I mean, it's I happen to have married a Brazilian who is a movie fanatic like I am. So we saw 2 movies the day before, and we saw 2 movies yesterday, and
Oh, really?
probably going to see two movies today. Yeah, and we watch movies all the time. So it's and horror is one of her favorites. For me. Oh God, there was one that I really liked, and I can't remember the name of this. This is my trouble. The things I see go in one ear and out the other. But it was about a black guy with a white girlfriend, and he goes to visit his family, and everyone is so weird around him.
Yeah.
It was out for Academy Award nomination. Anyway, that was really a good one. I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
I know I received it. I get movies every year to screen, to
Okay.
vote for the SAG Awards. So
Oh.
that was one I received, and I lent it to my daughter, and I never received it back. But I
Oh,
wanted
really?
to watch it again. Yeah, but oh God, even the spoofs, like Young Frankenstein or the regular Frankenstein. I love those movies. Anything to do with vampires, I love.
What's your
So
favorite
it's,
vampire movie?
Probably the one that what's his name? Tom Cruise.
Oh, Interview with the Vampire?
Yeah, I really liked that a lot for some reason. I don't know
Yeah.
why. But not that many people liked it, but I liked it a lot. But I'm trying to think of what else. So I'm into zombies right now. So I've been watching Fear of the Walking Dead since the very beginning. and their outshoot show. So I watch that every time. But I remember the World War Z.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Like I said, it wasn't the greatest movie. I just enjoyed it,
Cool. I guess any closing thoughts on Death Row Diner?
No, just everyone should try to go out and see it on YouTube, and write back to one of us, or especially you, to get their experiences on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. I guess that's all I have for you.
All right.
Where can people find any more of your stuff online? Like, do you have like social media or anything like that where people can keep updated with what's going on? Or what are you working on now? Do you have anything coming out soon?
No, the Doll series. There's going to be a second season, and I don't know when that's going to shoot yet, but that's coming up next. You can get me at on YouTube and see. My name is John Content, Content. On Facebook, I believe it's the same thing. So you can you'll see my photography on there if you want to go on there, or on Flickr you can also see my photography there too. I like to do photography, but just headshots, but also funny things.
Cool.
So you might get some entertainment out of that.
Yeah. Awesome. So everyone listening at home, check out John's photography. Check out Death Row Diner. Watch it on YouTube. I don't suggest spending $200 on a tape for it unless that's your thing. And I just want to thank you for being on the show and talking to me. Thank you. Yeah, of
Thanks.
course.
It was a real pleasure.
Yep. And thanks everyone for watching, and we will see you next time.